All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be in the 135-pound division, where we have an excellent fight that is going to get made. We just found out yesterday between a pair of lightweight fighters, two of the best in the world, Shakur Stevenson and Frank Martin. And as you know, they are both associated with two of the best fighters in the world that just fought each other, Errol, Spence, and Terrence Crawford. And Shakur Stevenson, once again, gives me another reason to say, man, I really like you in the ring. Man, you get real loose lips up outside the ring, because he says something that I thought was a little bit disrespectful to Errol Spence Jr., but clearly playing upon a theme that is out there and known to be the case. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be in the 135-pound division, where, man, we got a really good fight coming up later this year. I do believe that it is going to be either in November or December timeframe, and that is two of the best lightweights in the world. One is Shakur Stevenson, who's the WBC mandatory challenger for the belt that was dropped by Devin Haney, and also Frank the Ghost Martin, one of the best up-and-coming lightweights in the world, who was promoted by Errol Spence Jr., recently had a fight where he won, didn't look the best in, but got the job done. Before that, had beaten Michelle Rivera, just a very solid. Before that, I think he beat Jackson Marinez, definitely one of the top 5 lightweights in the world, and a fight that I definitely want to see. Shakur Stevenson did not hesitate, however, to throw some salt and some shade at Frank Martin. And we're going to talk about that in this video. But before we do, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon if you like the video, so you can be notified of when we release more videos. And if you're a longtime subscriber and supporter, thank you guys so much. And thank you to everybody that supports in the super thanks of videos. It really is a great way to sponsor the videos of content creators that you like. Sorry for having to do that, pull that light down in the middle of the video. Might be slightly unprofessional. Should have done it ahead of time, but I felt like I was doing the video in a closet. Anyway, let's get into this because, man, first of all, let me say this about Shakur Stevenson straight out. Shakur Stevenson is one of the best fighters in the world, period. Not just one of the best fighters in the lightweight division, or one of the best American fighters. He's one of the best fighters in boxing, period. And I don't care who you compare him to in the sport of boxing. This dude is right up there with him. May not be necessarily an experience, because he's a younger guy, 25, 26 years old, but definitely one of the top guys in boxing. Frank Martin, from my point of view, is also a very good fighter, man. Older than Shakur Stevenson is, didn't have necessarily as big the amateur pedigree that Shakur Stevenson had, because he started, later on in life. I don't believe that he I don't think he started fighting until somewhere in his late teens. So in this particular scenario, that's what you're getting. You're getting a guy that is a lifelong fighter, and you're in Shakur Stevenson, and you're getting a guy in Frank Martin, who's extremely talented, very quick to learn the sport, who's reached a very high level, very good defense, slick fight, can be slick when he wants to, very good power, right? But the overall experience edge has to go to Shakur Stevenson. Now, Shakur, though, has to go and sour my party, right, by saying something that is very Shakur-ish. And that is to, because Shakur Stevenson, man, like I said, he's a really great fighter, without a doubt. But he will just say some things every once in a while. It will just leave you looking at him like, man, why you even have to do that? So he throws mud at Errol Spence Jr. in a very slick fashion. And I don't care if you can hear the video and say I put words in your mouth, whatever. I know what you meant when you said this to Frank Martin. He says that I'm better than Terrence Crawford, and Frank Martin will see that. What other reason is there for that than to point out the fact that Terrence Crawford had beaten Errol Spence Jr. and that Errol Spence Jr., who was the promoter, and by the way, Errol is the promoter of Frank Martin and the guy that put Frank Martin on. And Shakur Stevenson is always running up underneath the armpit of Terrence Crawford, spars with Terrence Crawford, friends with Terrence Crawford, firmly, associated with that camp, even though they don't have the same trainers, big bro, little bro type of attitude and energy coming from those guys. So he wants to, do that with Frank Martin. That's fine and fair enough. Is he better than Terrence Crawford? I mean, I don't think he's as experienced as Terrence Crawford, but I ain't gonna lie, Shakur Stevenson can really fight. He can do everything in that ring. He's a southpaw. Frank Martin's a southpaw. Shakur Stevenson he's very active. He throws a lot of punches, very accurate with his punches. At the same time, he can stand right in front of you, slip shots, make you miss. He can also fight on the outside, on the back foot if he needs to, right? Just a lot of stuff that he can do in that ring. Frank Martin, I think, is more of less of a high volume puncher than Shakur Stevenson is, but he's somebody that has excellent defense and somebody that really can crack. Now, the best that you may find in this fight, though, is that it kind of reminds me of another scenario where there was an Olympic silver medalist. I think Roy Jones Jr. won the Olympic silver medal, right? And was one of the best prospects and best up-and-coming fighters in boxing. When he ran into another guy who was even though he wasn't undefeated, Bernard Hopkins might have not been undefeated. I think Bernard might have had a loss in his first couple fights, or at least a really rough fight in his first couple fights. But Bernard Hopkins, who didn't really start professionally fighting until he was in his late 20s, because he had been in prison in Pennsylvania for a long time. But he came out, and early in their career, before Roy Jones Jr. had won a title and before Bernard Hopkins had won a title, those two got in the ring and fought each other. Now, Roy Jones Jr. won that fight. But Bernard Hopkins put up a very good show for himself. And Roy had always attributed to the fact that, he beat Bernard Hopkins with one hand. And that may be true. But look, man, Bernard Hopkins ain't no joke, man. Bernard Hopkins ain't no joke. And Bernard Hopkins was putting it on, from time to time, was putting it on Roy Jones Jr. And, over the course of time, man, he proved everything that he was. That was a very, very competitive fight. And that may be what you wind up seeing with Shakur Stevenson and Frank Martin, because it's not as if Frank Martin is a novice and doesn't have some things that really can cause Shakur Stevenson some problems, specifically the power that Frank Martin has. Now, I do believe that Shakur Stevenson may be at an advantage as far as the length and the height and all of that stuff goes. But hey, man, I'm definitely not about to count Frank Martin out in this fight, even though, I would lean towards Shakur Stevenson, but truthfully, just want to see a really good fight, which again, this is happening again. And hopefully this will once again flush all of the nonsense about how Al Heyman and the PBC don't ever want anybody to fight each other. At the same time, though, this does and go along with what I've said about Top Rank. The Top Rank wants to make these cross-promotional fights when they think they have a very good chance of winning, right? But anyway, it is what it is, because he definitely said that he would not be putting Shakur Stevenson there with Gervonta Davis, right? But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.